Hunters, Omega is almost here. The official trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds Title Update 3 just dropped, and Capcom went absolutely crazy with this reveal. From the very first shot, you can tell Omega is going to be one hell of a fight. One that will test everything we've learned so far in Wilds, and maybe even the strength of our friendships along the way. In today's video, we're breaking down the trailer, uncovering all the hidden details, and getting ready for what could be one of the wildest hunts yet. Omega is set to arrive on the 29th of September 2025 with Title Update 3. Now, Capcom hasn't given us an official release time, so depending on your time zone, it might not actually land on the 29th for everyone. For me, I'm expecting it'll drop closer to the 30th of September, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm sorry, what? Oh, hold up, quick update here. Capcom just dropped the maintenance notice, September 29th, 8:50 to 11:30 Japan time, which basically means, yup, Omega Day is actually the 29th for me too. No waiting until the 30th, we're jumping straight in after reset. Love it when the stars align. As for the hunt itself, all signs point to Rimechain Peak, the same area where we usually fight Jin Dahad. And the moment you see that arena, you know exactly what that means. This is shaping up to be a phase transition hunt. We don't have official info yet on how Omega's transitions will work, but my guess, as we move from area to area, Omega will slowly unlock more of its moveset, much like how Jin evolves throughout his fight. That setup alone already promises a battle that's going to keep escalating the deeper we get into it. Now let's go over some of the moves we saw in the trailer and start setting our expectations for Omega's fight. Of course, keep in mind, this is all based on the trailer footage, and things can definitely change once the update actually drops. But even from these first glimpses, we can already piece together a few hints about how Omega is going to fight and what kind of pressure it's going to put on hunters. First up, we've got Omega's missile barrage. You can see it unleash a volley straight from its back, raining down across multiple spots on the field, forcing hunters to pay attention and reposition quickly. If you stay locked in on attacking, you're going to get caught in the explosions. Survival here is all about awareness and timing, dodging the incoming fire before it locks you down. Next up are the flying rocket knuckles, and these things are absolutely wild. Once Omega launches them, they lock onto a target and chase you down relentlessly. They won't stop until you deal with them, and the way to do that is by attacking them directly to knock them out of the air. I can definitely see ranged weapons having an easier time picking them off if possible. Omega even uses these knuckles during power clash animations, which is hilarious when you realize it's not actually controlling them. It's literally like clashing with a detached fist that has a mind of its own. Honestly, it might be the funniest power clash we've seen in Monster Hunter Wilds so far. Next, we get a look at what might be Omega's core attack, the Flame Burst. This is a massive blast that seems to cover a huge area, and it's definitely not something you can just roll through. From the trailer, it looks like hunters will need to deploy some kind of barrier shield to block or at least reduce the damage. That said, there's an interesting detail here. Parts of the arena don't have the orange glow when the attack charges up, which makes me wonder, maybe you can actually avoid the damage entirely by positioning in those safe zones? It's not confirmed, but definitely something worth testing once we're in the hunt. We also see a clear example in the trailer. The Greatsword Hunter uses the Slinger to fire off a barrier device right before Omega unleashes Flame Burst. To me, that screams core mechanic, and if you ignore it, you're probably taking the express cart back to camp. Omega also shows off what looks like its signature laser attack, and I doubt we've seen the full extent of it yet. In the trailer, we only catch two variations, but I bet Omega has more laser patterns tucked away for later phases. One important detail, that first laser attack doesn't just fire once. It actually looks like a multi-hit beam. And to make things worse, it leaves behind a follow-up explosion. That means you can't just dodge the initial hit and relax. You'll need to stay sharp and reposition quickly, or risk getting caught in the blast after. Another big highlight from the trailer is Omega cloning Nerscylla in one of its phases. And when that happens, it floods the field with these mini Omegas. Very Nerscylla inspired. From what we can see in the footage, the mini Omegas can actually be attacked, and when they're active, they seem to spawn some kind of plant creature that unleashes a brutal triple status combo: paralysis, poison, and stench. That's terrifying, because if all three hit you, you're basically locked out. You can't heal, you can't cleanse, you're just sitting there waiting for the cart. Suddenly, the wide range build in the demo loadout makes a lot of sense. Now, this part is still speculative. We don't know exactly how the mini Omegas and the plant creature fully work together, but what is confirmed is that the plant creature itself is responsible for the triple status. That alone is enough to make this phase a nightmare if you're unprepared. On the bright side, it looks like a fire plus para weapon setup will shine here, since Nerscylla's clone is weak to those elements. And based on how the footage flows, I really think Nerscylla is a crucial piece of Omega's fight, especially since Omega seems to follow it up with a potential one-shot Delta attack. Alright hunters, quick heads up before we dive in, the next part of this video is going to cover Capcom's official play guide for Omega, which means there are spoilers ahead. If you'd rather go in blind and experience the mechanics for yourself, this is your chance to bail out now. But if you want to be prepared and know what tools and strategies Capcom themselves are highlighting, then stick around, because this guide gives us some of the clearest hints yet on how to survive Omega. On top of the trailer, Capcom also dropped an official play guide for Omega on their Twitter page. It breaks down how to handle the fight, what hunters need to do in specific phases, and a few key details that could make or break the hunt once we're in it. Now, it doesn't cover every aspect of the fight. It's really more of a simple guide for the demo version being shown at TGS 2025. So let's pull it up and take a closer look, because while the trailer brings the hype, this guide gives us the tools we'll need to survive Omega. The first part of the guide covers aggro management. To grab Omega's attention, hunters need to stack damage on its head. Once enough damage is dealt, Omega will lock onto that hunter and start attacking aggressively. And you'll even see a clear lurpod style marker showing who's been targeted. This makes a defensive hunter, someone with strong guarding tools, the ideal choice to draw aggro, since they can handle the pressure more safely. But if you're the one with aggro, you need to be mindful of your positioning so Omega's attacks don't end up endangering your teammates. On the flip side, if you're not the aggro target, that's your window to go all in. While Omega is locked onto someone else, everyone else should push the damage as hard as they can. This leads me to believe that when Omega is aggroed, most of its big AoE attacks, even the lasers, will shift to focus mainly on the aggroed hunter. But it's not completely safe for the rest of the team because there might still be an AoE radius around the target. If allies get too close, they could easily get clipped by the splash damage. The second section is about the Pictomancer, and honestly, it doesn't add much to the Omega fight itself. It's more of a highlight reel for the new moveset. Painting Magic lets you cast 3 types of spells in sequence, and you can access it straight from the item slider. The guide basically just says, depending on the situation, try using Painting Magic. So yeah, this one's less about Omega and more about showing off Pictomancer's flavor in the demo. Next is a crucial one, because this basically tells you how to survive Omega's attacks. The guide explains that you'll need to rely on a defensive barrier, which can block some of Omega's strongest moves. You can create these barriers in 2 ways. First, by destroying wounds on Omega's head, and second, by using slinger ammo dropped by monsters in the area. That could mean from Omega himself, the mini Omegas, or even the plant creature. We're not sure yet. Either way, mastering when and how to set up these barriers is going to be one of the biggest keys to staying alive in this fight. And finally, the guide warns us about Omega's Delta attack, its ultimate move. It's described as extremely powerful, the kind of attack that can wipe out the entire team if you're not ready for it. But there is a way to counter it. If you defeat the Nerscylla clone before Omega fully charges Delta Attack, a special barrier will appear to protect the team. That means coordination is everything here. Hunters will need to work together and focus Nerscylla down fast if they want to survive Omega's finisher. And that also explains the demo loadout choices. Paralysis and fire weapons. Perfect for taking Nerscylla out quickly before Delta Attack ever goes off. So from everything we've seen, Omega looks like a fight that really favors teamwork over solo play. And that's a refreshing change. It pushes us to coordinate, cover each other's weaknesses, and come together the way Monster Hunter was always meant to be played. Me and my Discord are already gearing up for the battle on September 29th, 2025. Builds are being shared, roles are being discussed, and the hype is real. If you want to join the prep and be part of the hunt, hop in and let's welcome Omega with a fight it won't forget. And as always, Hunters, if you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because I'll be covering everything Omega and beyond as we dive deeper into Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm Marneus, now let's go break a mechanical spider for parts.